How's it going, Jack Tackers, and welcome back to another video for you guys. Today, I'm going to be talking about one of, if not the best show on television at the moment, Succession. So I actually just recently binged all 3 seasons for the first time in preparation for the highly anticipated 4th season, which is set to premiere on March 26th. And as soon as I caught up, I knew I had to make a video on it because I just needed to talk about this show. However, instead of talking about the show as a whole, I want to focus on one episode in particular that really made me realize just how magnificent this series truly is. In other words, this is, in my opinion, the episode that made Succession great. Season 1, Episode 6, Which Side Are You On? And I know someone has already made a video on this episode, but I don't care. Also, before we get into this, there are spoilers in this video, so if you have not seen this show yet, obviously, please stop watching this and go check the series out instead because I cannot recommend it enough. It's just so good. Okay, with all that out of the way, let's begin. I like this episode because we get to see Kendall Roy wear his iconic headphones. Okay, goodbye. Now, in all seriousness, while Season 1, Episode 6 of Succession was the episode that made me fall in love with the show, that's not to say the first 5 episodes are bad or anything, because they're still definitely great. Episode 6 was just on another level for me, though, and where the little switch in my brain finally turned on, and I completely understood why so many people had told me this show was so fantastic. So, why exactly do I think this episode's so spectacular? Well, simply put, it's incredibly engaging and marks a huge turning point for the series. Also, it follows one of my favorite characters in the show, Kendall Roy. While I like pretty much all the characters in Succession, Kendall, especially in Season 1, is, for all intents and purposes, the main character. And I usually latch onto main characters because you often see the story through their perspective and understand them a lot more. Kendall definitely takes a back seat in later portions of the story, like in Season 2, but at this point in the show, he's our number one boy. And he is amazing in this episode. Jeremy Strong is just too damn good. In terms of how this episode marked a turning point for the show, it really kick-started the Logan versus Kendall feud, in my opinion. Granted, it's definitely shown earlier that these two do not have a great relationship. This episode, all the chips are on the table. There's no hiding or BS anymore. Kendall wants Logan to step down from the company, and it is, in a lot of ways, all-out war. The episode is literally titled, Which Side Are You On? And this very heavily relates to what side Kendall's truly on. However, this episode confirms that Kendall is not on Logan's. That much is obviously clear. Immediately, what comes to mind when I think of this episode is the sequence in which Kendall gets stuck in traffic and is late to the vote of no confidence meeting, when he literally gets out of the car and starts running, and Frank has to try and stall for time. Man, that is some suspenseful stuff. Matter of fact, I think it's safe to say this episode is the most suspenseful and intense one of the entire series, and was actually the first super intense moment the show had up to this point. I was completely enthralled by what was unfolding and couldn't look away from my screen. It almost took me back to when I watched Breaking Bad for the first time. I just knew that I was witnessing something special. Even with all the intensity that is packed into this, the episode still manages to be incredibly funny, though. Succession has amazing humor, and you better be smelling your armpit, Romulus, is an iconic and hilarious quote from Logan in this episode. Now, when Kendall desperately tries so hard to convince the board why Logan isn't fit to run the company anymore, and when he arrives at the meeting, his plan all comes crashing down, and Roman doesn't have the backbone to vote in favor because Logan's actually in the room, it's just so disappointing for Kendall. And I'm aware you really shouldn't be feeling any sympathy for these characters, but I did genuinely feel bad for Kendall in the episode nonetheless. He really tried and still failed miserably. In the words of Logan Roy, that was your best shot. You lost. Now, I especially love the ending scene of this episode too, in which Kendall stumbles through the street as the song Which Side Are You On? By Pete Seeger plays. He looks absolutely lost and defeated. He literally looks around and is just like, what's next? So damn good. Absolutely amazing television. Even though I adore Succession's original score, I do sometimes wish they played more songs like this in their episodes. Really creates a whole different vibe. But yeah, Season 1, Episode 6 of Succession is just an adrenaline-filled episode from start to finish, and a very important episode for the overarching series. The performances are all top-notch. The cinematography is obviously fantastic and adds to the intensity of what you're watching, and this is easily one of the most entertaining episodes of TV that I have ever seen. All the best things about this show are in this, and that is why I think this is the episode that made Succession great. But what do you guys think of Succession? And what is your favorite episode of the show? I would love to know because there's just so many great ones. I mean, truth be told, I don't think Succession has even made a bad episode yet. And to be honest, I'm sure it never will. That's just how good this series is. Anyways, let me know all your thoughts down in the comments below. And yeah, if you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.